Hi everyone, welcome. Let's start this new Aeon topic. It's the end of the knowledge. It's about academics' need to think harder about the purpose of their disciplines and whether some of those should come to an end. It is written by the Rachel Scarborough King, is Associate Professor of English at the University of California, Santa Barbara. She is the author of Writing to the World, Letter and the Origin of Modern Print, January 2080. So let's see. And by the way, it's written by not just one author, by two. The another one is Seth Rudy, is an associate professor of English at Rogers College in Tennessee, US. He is the editor with the Rachel Scarborough King of The End of the Knowledge, Outcomes and the Endpoint Across the Arts and Science 2023. So let's see what this Eon hold for us. Let's start with the four spaces. Right now, many forms of knowledge production seems to be facing their end. The crisis of humanities has reached a tipping point of financial and popular disinvestment. While technological advances such as a new artificial intelligence programs may outstrip human ingenuity, as a news outlet, this appeal extreme political movement question the concept of objectivity and the scientific process. Many of our systems for producing and certifying knowledge have ended or are ending. So it's this passage is just an introduction about the how in today's era the knowledge there is a disinvestment in knowledge because of advancement in technologies. So it says right now many form of knowledge production seems to be facing their end. It says that right now the people are not interested in gaining more knowledge. That's the result in many of the production of knowledge is comes to an end. The crisis of humanities has reached a tipping point of financial popular disinvestment, while technological advances such as a new artificial intelligence program may outstrip human ingenuity. It says that now the people who are or the field of humanities faces a financial disinvestment. On the other side, the technological advancements get some more popularity and lots of investments. As a news outlet disappear, extreme political movement question the concept of objectivity and the scientific process. Many of our systems for producing and certifying knowledge have ended or are ending. It says that now that there is no more that much of discussion about a political movements, which shows that now this knowledge have ended or are ending. So the title of this passage is that ending of humanities, knowledge of humanities. And what we can take from here is that the crisis of humanities has reached a tipping point of financial and popular disinvestment, and technological advances outstrip human ingenuity. And the other point, news outlets disappear, extreme political movements question the concept of objectivity and the specific process. So that's all for this passage. Let's moving toward the next one. We want to offer a new perspective by arguing that it is salutary. or even desirable for knowledge project to confront their ends, with humanities, scholars, social scientists, and natural scientists all forces to defend their work from accusations of the hoax of climate change to assumptions of the uselessness of humanity's degree. Knowledge producers within and without academia are challenged to articulate why they do what they do, and we suggest when they might be done. The prospect of an artificially or externally imposed end can help clarifying both the purpose and the endpoint of our scholarships. So, what this passage is saying, we want to offer a new perspective by arguing that it is salutary or even desirable for knowledge projects to confront their ends. With humanities scholar, social scientists, and natural scientists are all forced to defend their work from accusations of hoax of climate change to assumptions of the uselessness of humanity degree. Knowledge producer within and without academia are challenged to articulate why they do what they do, and we suggest when they might be done. So it says that this passage is saying that now the people think that humanity's knowledge of humanity is completely useless, because even the person who are scholar in the humanities don't know what they do and why they do this and why that might be done. That's why it's called as useless. The prospects of an artificially or externally imposed end can help clarify both the purpose and endpoint of our scholarship. Means the person who wanted to get a scholarship in this kind of a subjects, the whole, what we can say, that the whole bunch of different backgrounds people ask them why they do this, what their purpose to getting a knowledge in humanities. So what we can what is the title of this whole thesis is why humanity calls us useless, and what we can take from here is that because it's harder to identify what they do and why they do what they do, and we suggest when they might be done. The prospect of artificially or externally imposed end can help clarify both the purpose and end point of our scholarship. That's all for this passage. Let's moving toward the next one. We believe the time has come for scholars across the fields to reorient their work around the question of ends. This need not mean acquiescence to the logics of either economic utilitarianism or partitions, filthy that have already proved so damaging to 21st century institutions. But avoiding the question will not solve the problem. If we want the university to remain a viable space for knowledge production, then scholars across a discipline must be able to identify the goal of their work, in part to advance the Enlightenment project of useful knowledge, and in part to defend themselves from public and political mischaracterization. So, what this passage is saying that we believe that the time has come for scholars across the field to reorient their work around the question of ends. This need not mean acquiescence to the logic of either economic utilitarians or partitions fealty that they have already proved so damaging to 21st century institutions. So here author is saying that now the time has come for the scholars to reorient their work and answering the proper point about why they are studying this whole subject. The purpose is not about economic utilitarians because of that it's already many of the institutions feels in damaged. But now it's a real question why we are studying these subjects. What the outcome of the educations in the particular subject. But avoiding the question will not solve the problem. If we want the university to remain a viable space for knowledge production, then scholars across a discipline must be able to identify the goal of their work, in part to advance the enlightenment of project of useful knowledge. It says that avoiding this kind of a question is not benefiting the university as well as the scholars, because now the current time people the university is decreasing their positions or their demands in society. So it's a very right time for the scholars and university to produce a valuable answer for these questions, why they are studying this knowledge, why they are gaining this knowledge, and what purpose they enroll for this particular uh, subject. And in part to defend themselves from the public and political mischaracterism, because now the author says that he invites the scholars and university to defend themselves how their knowledge is helpful and useful, and just broke the misconceptions about them in public and politically, for publicly and politically. So what the title of this whole passage is, for the urge of author. So what we can take from here is that scholars across the fields to reorient their work around the question of end. And another, identify the goal of their work in a part of advance the enlightenment project of useful knowledge and defend themselves from public and political mischaracterizations. That's all for this passage. Let's moving toward the next one. Our volume, The End of Knowledge, Outcomes and Endpoint Across the Arts and Sciences, 2023, asks how we should understand the end of knowledge today. What is the relationship between an individual knowledge project, say an experiment on the fruits fly, a reading of a poem, or creation of a large language model, and the aim of discipline or field? In era ranging from physics to literary study to activism to climate science, we ask practitioners to consider the end of their work, its purpose as well as its end, the point at which it might be complete. The responses showed surprising point of community in identifying the end of knowledge, as well as the value of having the end in sight. So what this says that it is a one of the line or one of the para from End of the Knowledge. What the author is trying to say here is that our volume, The End of Knowledge, Outcome and Endpoint Across the Art and Science, ask how we should understand the end of the knowledge today. What is the relationship between the individual knowledge project, say an experiment on a fruit fly and a reading of a poem or a creation of a large language model, and the aim of discipline or a field? So here author is saying that her book, The End of Knowledge, is about understanding of end of knowledge today. What is the relationship between an individual knowledge projects? And she mentioned the various example of that. And what is the aim for that particular knowledge? Why the people are studying that or just researching on that particular topic? In areas ranging from physics to literary study to activism to climate science, we ask practitioners to consider the end of their project, its purpose as well as its end. So it says that in the area ranging from physics to literatures, they ask the scholars or practitioner to just describe what the end of their project and what their purpose for doing this project. The point at which it might be complete, the response shows surprising point to commonality in identifying the end of knowledge as well as the value of having the end in sight. So it says that it states that she is surprised by the results of the answers of the people. So what the title of this particular passage is, what the end of knowledge trying to ask. And what we can take from here is that a relationship between an individual knowledge project asks practitioners to consider the end of their project and its purpose as well as its end. That's all. Let's moving toward the next passage, which is quite long. So let's see what this holds for us. Yeah, okay, fine. As a scholar of the Enlightenment, we drew our inspiration of this intertwining of end and ends from an era that initiated many of our models for producing, sharing, and using knowledge. Enlightenment thinkers combine practical and utopian definition of ends as they call for new modes and institutions of knowledge production, understanding ends as large-scale goals that must at the same time be achievable. In the early 17th century, Francis Bacon called for both a new start to knowledge production and reconsideration of its end. The greatest error of all he wrought in the advancement of learning, 1605, is the mistaking or misplacing of the last or the furthest end of knowledge. Its true end, he later wrote, were not professional reputation, financial gain, or even a love of learning, but rather the uses and the benefits of life. To improve and conduct it in charity, advocating an end to scholasticism, the medieval educational program, and the emphasized dialectical argumentations and deductive logic. Bacon devised his Novum Organum 1620 New Organon as both a blueprint for and the beginning of generations long and worldwide effort to seek new ends. His work is generally taken as an origin point for scientific revolution. So, what the author is trying to say here is that as a scholar for the Enlightenment, we draw our inspiration for this intertwining of ends and ends from an era that initiated many of our models for producing, sharing, and using knowledge. So, it says that for enlightenment, for gaining a more knowledge, for just knowing our purpose, for our particular research, the end of that is very important. Enlightenment thinkers combine practical and utopian definition of ends as they call the new models in the institution of knowledge production, understanding ends as large-scale goals that must at the same time be achievable. It says that for Enlightenment thinkers, their practical and utopian definition of end is brings in new modes and new path for the knowledge production, understanding of their goals, which at the same time they believe that they can achieve it. In the early 17th century, the French's beacon called for both a new start to knowledge production and reconsideration of its aims. The greatest error of all he wrote the advancement of learning is the mistaking or misplacing on the last of the furthest end of knowledge. Its true end, he later wrote, was not professional reputation, financial gain, or even a love of learning, but rather the use and benefits of life to improve and conduct it in charity. Here, the Francis Bacon is trying to say that the gaining of knowledge, the purpose of gaining of knowledge is not related to the professional reputation, financial gain, or even a love for learning. But whatever research you have done, whatever the experiment you are doing, the main purpose of is this, its use and benefits of life, which improve and conduct in charity. Means how much you give to the society through your knowledge, through your experiment. That the main purpose should be for your experiment, your studying, whatever. Advocating an end to scholasticism, the medieval education program and the emphasized dialectical argumentation and the deductive logic. Bacon devised his novum New Organ as both as blueprint for and the beginning of the generations long and worldwide effort to seek new end. His work is generally taken as an origin point for scientific revolution. So here author says that in medieval period there is a book called Novum Organum, which means a new organon, which means that there is a about any new thing, there is a beginning of generation long and worldwide effort to seek new ends, which is turned out to be the origin of scientific revolution. So, what the title of the whole passage is the purpose of end, finding the purpose of the end. So, what we can take from here is that first, Enlightenment thinkers combine practical and utopian definition of end, understanding end as large scale goals, at the same time be achievable, a true end were not professional reputation, financial goal, even a love of learning, but rather use and benefit of life to improve the conduct in charity. That's all we can take from this passage. Let's moving towards the next passage. In this way, the Enlightenment offers a model of how the end of one view of knowledge production can be launchpad for new ideas, methods, and paradigms. The fracturing and the decline of Aristotelian scholasticism during the Renaissance gave rise to a host of philosophies devised to replace it. The conflict of the Thomists and the Scotists, the inadequacies of revived Hellenistic doctrine, the discomforting mysticism of Rosicrucianism and Kabbalah, even the failed promise of Platonism to provide a modern, comprehensive alternative to Aristotelian thinker like beckon to seek answer in other fields. So it's this whole passage is about Aristotle's thinking. So it's about not just Aristotle, different thinkers thinking. So the title of this whole passage is different thinkings of different thinkers. So what we can take from here is that first, the Enlightenment offer a model of how the end of one view of knowledge production can be launchpad for the new ideas, methods, and paradigms. For Aristotelian scholasticism, first we can may say that philosophies devised to replace it. That's all we can take from here. Let's moving toward the next passage. Bacon's term "exitus finis terminus" suggested a focus on endpoint as well as outcome. Knowledge, in his philosophy, had ends, that is, purpose, as well as an end, a point at which the project would be complete. The new science, he believed, would lead to the proper end and the termination of infinite error, and was worth undertaking precisely because an end was possible, for it is better to make a beginning of the thing which has a chance of an end than to get caught up in things which have no end. In perpetuated suggest struggles and extortion, Bacon believed scientists could achieve their ends. So this whole passage is about Bacon's belief. He suggested that focus is on end point as well as outcome. The knowledge in his philosophy has end, that is purpose, as well as end, a point at which the project would be complete. So here the Bacon is trying to say that you have a two meaning of the end, which is the purpose, and the other means the completion of the work. The new science he believes would lead to the proper end and termination of infinite error, and was worth undertaking precisely because an end was possible, for it is better to make a beginning of the things which have a chance of an end than to get caught up in the things which have no end, is perpetuated struggle and extortion. So, what is the whole passage is about? Bacon's belief in end. So, the first he said he's the knowledge should be have end, that is a purpose and the completion of project. He says that we should think about end of something which we begin, which we started working on it. If we didn't start working on anything, then how we just supposed to be end of that thing? So beginning is also very necessary. So what we can take from here is that the first is the knowledge in his philosophy has end as well as an end, means a purpose and the completion of the project. The proper end and termination of infinite error and was a worth undertaking precisely because as end was possible. Better, for it is better to make a beginning of the thing which has chance of an end. And Bacon believes that the scientists could achieve their ends. That's all for today videos. Hope you guys like it. Let's see you with another series of this particular Aeon topic. As of now, have a great day.